today's video, I'm going to show you how to create spinning wire wall photographs. Do you remember that fad from about 10 or 15 years ago? Well, if you missed it, here are some examples. Here are the things you're going to need. Okay, obviously you're going to need wire wool, but don't make the same mistake that I did all those years ago. Not all wire wool is the same because it's got a purpose. It's kind of like sandpaper. You get coarse sandpaper and then you get fine sandpaper. So they are graded. So if you have a look on the side of this box, this one that I first purchased is grade 00. But if I turn over to the other side, you'll see that it comes in 0, 00, 000, or quadruple 0. Yeah, you'll be wanting to get the quadruple 0, which is extra fine. Quite simply, if you try to set a light to the 00, it just doesn't burn because it's quite thick. When you get down to the quadruple 0, it's much softer. It's almost like metal cotton wool, so it's a lot more flammable. Right, so that's the wire wool. I tend to get this stuff on Amazon and you get a small bag of it, and this will last for quite a long time. The next thing you'll want is a metal whisk. Don't get a plastic whisk, it's going to melt immediately. So go to any hardware store, pick yourself up a metal whisk which has got a loop on the end so that you can tie a piece of string or rope. When I'm on location, I'll show you exactly how I put the wire wool in here and how much. So in terms of tying something to your whisk, I used to use some very thin string or some lace or something, but what you'll find is when you're spinning it around in the circle, you'll get blisters on your fingers. So what I would recommend is getting something slightly thicker like paracord. Not only is this quite cost effective, it's very strong, plus it's a bit thicker and it's a bit easier on your hands. You don't need anything as thick as rope. Paracord is probably the sweet spot. Obviously you're going to need to light it somehow, so I've got a lighter here and some spare gas for that, and I've also got a head torch. Now in terms of what to wear, I've already mentioned you should wear gloves. That's going to do a couple of things. It's going to be dark so that your hand doesn't come out in the photograph. It's going to protect you from getting blisters, and it's also going to protect your hands from any stray sparks. In terms of clothing generally, I would recommend wearing dark clothes because you're going to be in the middle of the circle when you're spinning the wire wool and you're going to be in the photograph, but you're going to be a lot less distracting if you're wearing dark clothes. I tend to carry a head torch with me, and that's just so that I can set up the focus on my camera. I'll get into that in a second, but yeah, you also need a head torch so that you can find your way back and forth to the location and to help your camera focus. Now let's think about the safety of the environment that you're in. Don't be stupid and do this inside a building or in a drought surrounded by a field with lots of dry grass or anything. You need to kind of think sensibly about your location, and if I were to drop a spark, is there the risk that I could start a fire? Okay? Everybody out there, just be sensible. Other than that, that's the health and safety covered. Let's talk about camera gear. Now in terms of what camera you use, most cameras with manual settings will allow you to do this. The important thing is you need a camera that will allow you to do a long exposure because typically they're around 15 or 20 seconds. When you fill this with wire wool, light it and spin it, obviously it's going to end at some point. So take into consideration you'll be doing long exposures, therefore you need a camera that allows that. So camera with manual settings, a lens, I would go for a wide angle lens because when you start to spin it, if the radius of that is say a meter, I would say that the sparks are probably going maybe a total of 5 to 10 meters. So don't turn up to site with a 70 to 200 because you would have to set your camera way back. You don't need a really fast lens, something like f4 or f2.8 is probably going to do the job. But if you've got a 16 to 35 or a 24 to 105, then that's going to do just great. You don't need any filters. What you'll see when we get to location is you're just waiting for the ambient light to match that 15 or 20 second exposure, and therefore you just get it all in one frame. You will also need to be using manual focus, which is why I said you've got a head torch. So if your lens, for example, doesn't have a manual focus override, make sure you know where in the menus on your camera that is. Now, although it is possible to do this on your own, I have before. I put the camera on a tripod, I set it to a 10-second timer, and then I pre-focused on the scene, then walked into the scene, lit the wire wool, and I was starting to spin it. So it is possible, but I would recommend doing this with another person. Therefore, one person is concentrating on the wire wool spinning, and then the other person is concentrating on the photography. And on that topic, this evening I'm going to be joined by Louise Welcome and her husband Nigel. Right, I'll see you on the South Downs. All right, good news. The pond is full of water. That's a good start. Just need to wait for the ambient light to drop a bit, and then we're in business. Don't fall backwards onto the cowpat that you can't see.
Louise, welcome photography in a boiler suit at your service.
You can do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Is it because you're in a boiler suit you just feel like, I need to fix something right now? So I've already, in the office, talked through everything. But I think if we're talking about it on site and running you through this, so to be clear, you've never done wire wall spinning before.
No.
So I'm going to talk you through it. Make sure you kind of spread it out a bit.
Right.
Because if it's too squashed up, yeah, it's not going to get to it and it's not going to burn. Couple of things to take into consideration. You can see the light levels behind us. Now the danger is, if you've ever done light painting with a torch, you could run into problems of overexposure, because if you're spinning this in a circle consistently, you've got the potential for overexposure of just that circle, whereas the sparks would be correctly exposed. So there's a bit of trial and error, but what you want to make sure is that you've got your ambient exposure correct for your background. When you light this, this is now in the photograph. So if you're holding it up here, lighting up your face, and then you drop it, you can have a circle with a vertical line in it. So it's a bit like when you're light painting and you're holding a torch, you've got to be careful where you start and end the exposure and where you start this.
So we might need to shout "go" to each other.
Yeah.
I take my 2-second timer off.
I'd take that off because we've got more than one person here. I'd just say go, probably when you're in the momentum of the perfect circle. We're going to experiment with a few different things. I've seen a horizontal spin, which I've never done before. We're going to have a go at that. And as you can see, we've got plenty of water behind us. We're probably going to change it composition so that we've got a reflection, hopefully. It is a bit windy though, so maybe if that calms down, we can get that. And you're wearing a boiler suit because you're going to have a go at it as well.
I've got full protective gear. None of this is going to get burnt. Ready when you are, feel free to light. He's filming.
Okay. Right, here we go. Okay, we have had one successful shot so far, and we've just changed our composition up a little bit. Rather than having two of the trees in the image, we were a bit too wide. So now we're concentrating on one tree, and we've got the city of Brighton in the background to add a bit more interest. Are you ready, Louise?
Can I suggest you go about 1 metre left? Yes, there.
Yeah?
Ready when you are. Okay, we need to reposition you, but that looks amazing. So I need to really go higher and wider potentially. Maybe go back to the 20mm, but that does look the dog's Watsits. And everything is, only that top circle is blown slightly.
Yeah, I think the exposure's bang on, but the spark's going off the top of the image, so
marvellous.
I might do better with a slightly wider shot.
Yeah.
That was a good start.
Cool. Yeah, that's about fine. Yes,
yeah?
That's fine.
Here we go.
Oh my God, done, done, done.
All of the previous spins have been this kind of vertical spinning shot. For the first time, I'm going to try a horizontal spin because I've seen a good image of that. So this is the first time I'm going to do that. Hopefully this pans out. Okay, yeah, go. Okay, all right, yeah, good to go whenever you are. That's it, you're doing it! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!
Ah! Lost it! I can't, he stopped filming, Did it work okay?
It's amazing.
Oh!
That was a good one.
Oh, baby! Oh, that's wicked.
Good. That's you in the middle. We have a strawberry moon coming in from the left-hand side of the shot, so we've mixed up the composition a bit, and Louise is now having her second go. This is the remainder of the wire wool. Last spin of the evening. That's cram-packed. This is going to be a good one. Oh, this is what it's like to be a celebrity. You know when you're on stage and the light just follows you? I've made it. Look at this.
Honestly. That, I reckon, is pretty perfect.
Oh, Christ.
Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa! That's what happens when you hit the ground. That's it. What better way to end the video? We've all survived. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If you've got any questions, then let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.